Hey everyone, and welcome to my first ever attempt at a YouTube video. In all honesty, this is like, I think, take 4. So we'll see what happens. Maybe there will be a take 5. You never know. But this video obviously is going to feature the game Space Engineers, and kind of my thoughts and goal for this is to maybe evolve this into a tutorial series, walking you through the basics of Space Engineers and getting you from planet to space and just building all kinds of stuff, maybe even similar to what you see here on the screen. Okay, Space Engineers, interestingly enough, is a game that I initially did not like. I saw it on Steam on sale for like $5 or $10, and I said, sounds interesting, cheap enough, what the heck. So I picked it up and tried playing it, and I just didn't like it. To be honest, it can have a relatively steep learning curve. And at the time, I think it was still in a relatively early state of development. It had been officially released, but it was relatively early, and so some of the handy features that we have now just weren't present when I was playing it. So I set the game aside for, I don't remember how many years, it was several years, and I came back to it and said, I'll give this another try. And now it has become my most played game on Steam if you look at my stats in terms of hours. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. My goal in this video is to just show you the game setup and make Planetfall and take you on a tour of our drop pods. So I'm going to go ahead and click on New Game. We do not want to play a quick start because we want to mod some things. So if we come into here, you'll see the different games that we can go ahead and set up. So the most common one is the Sandbox, and the most popular is the Star System Start. Basically, the Star System Start throws you into the game on a planet or a moon with a basic drop pod, almost like an escape pod, and you work your way up from there. There are a couple other options that I'll talk about later when we go ahead and actually spawn in. Now, if you want some other games that have varying amounts of resources, you have the Red Ship. That you notice looks like you're starting out. I've never honestly played this one, but it looks like you're starting out with a ship and maybe a small asteroid base that you can work from. Sparks of the Future, Pertum Orbiter. These two I'm pretty sure are part of a DLC, which you would need to pick up. I've kept up with the DLCs on this game, and I've enjoyed all of them. So I would certainly recommend the DLCs. They're like $4 or $5 a piece on Steam, but I would certainly recommend them. They introduce some blocks and some different things that add to the game appreciably. Then there are the storyline scenarios. If you would like basically, I guess, a game with some goals in it that you don't set yourself, because the Sandbox games, you set your own goals. There's nothing really in there. It's all up to you in terms of what you're doing. The story scenarios will give you some different goals and objectives to complete. You have the Lost Colony. Learning to Survive. This is the basic tutorial that kind of introduces you to the controls and everything associated with Space Engineers. So, this wouldn't be necessarily a bad place to start. I'll be talking about all of these in the video if you just want to plunge into a Sandbox game. But hey, this is a good place to start as well. There are a couple others. Never Surrender. Again, never tinkered with it. Frostbite is one, again, that is part of a DLC. One of the DLCs that came out for Space Engineers. You have PvP scenarios, original content, community content. Oh boy, there's a lot of community content for this game. I honestly don't have a lot of it yet, but community scenarios, I honestly don't have any of those. But we're just going to skip back and go to Sandbox. We are going to select the Star System Start, and we're going to go ahead and customize it a little bit as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to rename this to the Hoth, learn to spell, system. There we go. You'll find in Space Engineers what I like to do as you watch things. I like to name things kind of in honor of some of my favorite sci-fi franchises, and of course the Hoth system from The Empire Strikes Back. So bases and ships and so forth, the names of them will kind of pay homage to those sci-fi series that I grew up enjoying. So our game mode, we have two choices. We can go creative or survival. Creative basically is just build to your heart's content. You don't have to gather resources. Things build instantly. You don't have to weld stuff up. You can't die. You don't have to worry about oxygen or hydrogen for your jetpack, anything like that. Just build to your heart's content. We're going to go survival mode. Survival mode, we do have to collect our resources. We have to manage hydrogen and oxygen. You have a limited inventory capacity, unlike creative where it's unlimited, and you can die. Okay, so that's where we're gonna go with it. Online mode, do you want to play online with friends or just by yourself? So obviously offline, you're playing by yourself. Private friends, you know, those are specific ones where you have to invite or only friends can see your game. Public, of course, anybody can see it and at least attempt to join. Autosave, I tend to turn this off. That comes from it auto-saves every 5 minutes. If you mouse over that, it'll tell you that. And one of the issues you can bump into when you're playing Space Engineers is if it chooses to save right in the middle of some kind of a disaster, yeah, it can be a little inconvenient. So I tend to turn that off. However, if you are one that likes that you get lost in the gameplay and you don't save very frequently, guilty as charged, by the way, you can toggle that on and it will save your game periodically for you. The mods button, not going to do too much for this. I will show you what mods I have downloaded. As I mentioned, a lot of community content for Space Engineers. So compared to some, I have very few mods loaded, to be honest with you, that I've bumped into. Some of these are quality of life mods. They just do little things that don't change the gameplay at all. Some of these other mods are ones that introduce full new blocks and things that have been introduced by the community. Some examples: Build Info and Build Vision. These are just really quick things to take a quick look at something in a more easy fashion. Again, doesn't change the gameplay appreciably, but is kind of just a little quick quality of life mod that can help you out. Cockpits Reanimated. This is kind of a fun one. It introduces animation to the cockpits. So they're like the canopies will open and close. Again, just an animation, doesn't change the gameplay at all. As an example of something that does change gameplay, this next one here, deuterium fusion reactors. Okay, this actually introduces a new block, a new type of power generation block, and a brand new type of fuel as well. So that, you know, obviously appreciably will change the gameplay version. Another one I like that's kind of fun, Paint Gun. It adds basically an airbrush paint tool to the game, so you can paint things a little easier, change the block colors. That was kind of fun. Changes the gameplay a little bit, but it does make painting a little easier if you like to color your stuff. And another one, a couple more I'll talk about, Sneaky Sounds. This is one that's really nice for quieter tools. So the sound effects of like your grinders and your welders and so forth aren't as loud when you're playing the game. If you want that to be toned down a little bit, that's a good one. Again, quality of life, doesn't change the gameplay. Here's another one I do like as well, Ore Detector Plus. That is one that extends the range of the ore detectors that you have available in the game. So there's some blocks in the game that you can build onto ships and stations that will allow you to that will help you to detect mineral resources and deposits on planets and in asteroids. The vanilla versions, for my taste, are a little bit short-ranged, and so this Ore Detector Plus mod basically allows you to extend the range at which those detectors will spot the ores. But we are going to go ahead and waive any mods and just work vanilla. So going through some of the advanced settings, you got a lot of them that you can look at. How much stuff can your character hold? You know, how big are the blocks? Assembler efficiency, how fast will an assembler build stuff, and so forth. Sound mode, you can have realistic or arcade. For the most part, I'm going to leave all of these settings on default. There will be 2 or 3 settings I'm going to go down here and change. The first one I'm going to look at is block limits. So basically what this does is it limits the amount of stuff you can build, kind of as the name implies. It limits the number of blocks. Each block has what is called a PCU value. Okay, and once you reach that maximum PCU value, you can't build anymore. Okay, and so I tend to turn off the block limits, and you do get a warning. Block limits are set to ensure good performance. Please disable this option only for experimental purposes. I'm going to go ahead and click OK on that. So now notice total PCU, all of that is disabled in terms of block size, blocks per player, total PCU. Turning this off in a solo game, you know, you're just playing by yourself, you have a good robust computer, shouldn't have any problems, I wouldn't think. My computer that I work on is probably 5 to 7 years old, and I've never had any issues playing a solo game of Space Engineers with any kind of bog down for the block limits. So I wouldn't anticipate you'd have issues either, especially have a good, robust system. Okay, another thing I want to look at in the settings here that I tend to shut off is this enable progression. Okay, what exactly is progression? Well, basically it locks certain types of blocks behind other blocks. So for example, one of the blocks in the game is what's known as a basic assembler. The basic assembler will take raw materials like iron ingots and so forth and turn them into useful materials that you can then use to build your blocks. But maybe the landing gear block is locked behind the basic assembler, which means you have to fully construct a basic assembler before you'll have access and be able to build a landing gear. Okay, so that can be kind of annoying, particularly for a first-time player. If you just, hey, I just want to build this. I don't want to have to go through the rigmarole of figuring out what I have to build first. So I tend to turn that off in my games. If you do want, I guess, maybe a little bit more of a challenge or a slightly different challenge, you can go ahead and enable that, and that will help you there. But pretty much everything else I'm going to go ahead and leave on default. So with all our settings set, we're going to go ahead and hit that start button. So what it's going to do now is, once things load, it's going to bring up the list of drop pods, the list of areas that we can spawn in for the game. Okay, there are several different options. Most of them are planetary or on a rock of some kind or on a moon. There's a couple of them that spawn us in space. So here we have each of our options. So starting with the moon drop pod, it estimates the difficulty hard, shows the oxygen level and the planetary gravity level for the place, and shows you the type of thing you're going to be spawning in. Now the moon's a little unique in that instead of spawning in like a drop pod or an escape pod type of thing, that escape pod has been turned into a rover for you. Okay, so on the moon, when you drop in there, you have instant mobility. You can hop in that rover and go. Okay, and the reasoning for this is on the moon, there's ice that's located in one specific location, and you have to get ice to get oxygen, to generate your own oxygen. So being a no oxygen environment, you need that ice, and so they give you the means, the mobility to get to it from the get-go. The rest of them, starting with the Earth-like planet, here we just have a drop pod. So it's like an escape pod that kind of launched from maybe a ship in orbit that's dropping to the planet, and you land. That basically is your initial base of operations. Okay, each of the planets has a difficulty rating based on its oxygen level, its gravity, kind of the dispersion of resources, and so forth like that. So we got Alien, we got Mars. Titan and Europa are both moons. Actually, I think Titan, Europa, and Triton are all moons. The Pertum drop pod, that planet is a little like Tatooine, if you're familiar, again, with the Star Wars universe. And then two other starts, you have the space pod. Basically, this spawns you in deep space on a spaceship. Okay, so this starts you out with a small spaceship that you're going to utilize, and then the spacesuit is just that. You got a suit and nothing else. Okay, honestly, I've never tried the spacesuit only start, and I don't know if I ever will. Maybe I will one day just for grins. But for this video, we are going to start out in the Earth-like drop pod, and once we have that selected, hit that respawn button, and it will now load us into our thing. So if we hit V and hold Alt and our mouse button, zoom out, we can kind of look around. It gives us an exterior view, and we can zoom out. There's a lake of ice over there in front of us. That's handy for spawning hydrogen and so forth. Problem is, it looks like we are dropping into some fairly rough terrain here. But we'll drop in for our landing and see what we've got. Maybe it won't be quite as bad as I think. Okay, we are now officially landed, and we have made planetfall. So I'm going to hit V again to go back to my cockpit view, and then F to get me out of here, and then V again to go first person. So we're now landed on our planet. Okay, so now the first thing I want to do here for this to kind of second part of this video is just kind of show you around the drop pod, because this is our initial starting base, if you will. It's got what we need on it. So the first thing here is our pilot seat, our passenger seat. So we can pop into that either by using F or the left mouse button. This provides us with a place where we can sit down and charge. So notice on the lower right or lower left corner of the screen, there are 4 indicators. The top is health. The second is my oxygen level. The third is my suit's energy level, which is used to run all my different tools and so forth. And H2 is my hydrogen level. That's how much fuel I have for my jetpack. Okay, now while sitting in the passenger seat, if I hit the inventory, there is some stuff in my passenger seat. Okay, I have a pistol, which I'm going to grab, some ammo for said pistol, and a data pad. Okay, so the data pad, if I go ahead and I right click on this, what this does is it gives me the coordinates for basically a base. Okay, there are several factions within this within Space Engineers, and some are friendly, some are not. Most of them are neutral. Okay, but this is the location for what's known as a UDSR station. I don't know off the top of my head what USDR stands for, but we can look that up. And so this is basically a base that is on the planet for this faction. Okay, this base has what I can do at this base. I can get contracts for the base. So maybe someone wants some iron ore. I can take that contract and get them that iron ore, and they'll pay me to do that for them. I can use space credits to buy things. I can sell things for space credits. So kind of a trade and commerce aspect to the game. Okay, what I'm going to do for this, it's handy to know where those are at. So I'm going to go ahead, create GPS marker, and then just click on OK. All right, now if I want to see where that marker is at, across the top here we have these various tabs, and at the far right we have GPS. So one that I'm going to definitely leave in place for the time being is our respawn pod. That basically marks where we're at. And here I've got the USDR station. So if I click down here, show on HUD, I can then come up here to the X, close it, hit F to drop out of our pod, kind of scan around. So there you can see sort of towards the top my respawn pod, and down there the kind of the right side of the screen you see that marker 27.06 kilometers. So that station is 27.06 kilometers in that direction. So that's a fair distance away for our current setup. So unfortunately we're not going to be able to get to that right away. So what I'm going to do to clear that marker is I'm going to hit the I key to open up my inventory, and you see the GPS is there. Click on that and clear it from our station. Okay, so continuing the tour of our drop pod, what are some of the important things that we have on our drop pod? Well, over here on this side where we see this blinking light, there is a block. This is our O2H2 generator. Okay, what this does is it takes ice that we insert in there, and it will generate hydrogen and oxygen from them. Okay, also contained in this are a couple of refill bottles. We have a bottle that contains oxygen and a bottle that contains hydrogen. Now for this start on the Earth-like planet, oxygen not a big concern for us. Okay, hydrogen on the other hand might be, depending on how much we decide to use our hydrogen jetpack. Okay, now for the hydrogen jetpack, you will want to be a little conservative on that until you get a reliable source of ice, because notice you only have 300 kilograms or 111 liters of it, so you don't have a lot of ice available right from the get-go. Okay, so that might be something that you want to watch in terms of how much you do use your jetpack. Okay, probably the most important block, one of the more important blocks anyway, is this one. This is your survival kit. Okay, this serves two purposes. One thing it does, it serves as a spawn point. Okay, so if you're out and about and you die, this survival kit provides you with a spawn point so you don't have to restart the game entirely. Okay, another thing on this, if you notice there is this little terminal here. Press F to recharge and heal, or you can use your left mouse button. So this basically, if you get injured, if your health drops below 100%, you can heal. And note if you look down at the lower left corner of the screen, you'll notice that my suit's energy is slowly dropping. In fact, a little more rapidly than I'd like to see. But if I click on this, that will then go ahead and recharge that energy in my suit. Okay, so that is that aspect of the survival kit. The other thing about the survival kit, if I click on the that kind of yellow square there, the terminal, or not the terminal, but the access point for it, and I come up here to production, this shows things that my survival kit can produce. Okay, so it can produce some of the most basic of materials that I'm going to need. However, everything currently is red because there are no resources to spawn with. If we go up here, this gives us some different categories of things that our kit can produce. So ammo, basic pistol, some basic tools, some basic equipment. So again, flare gun, data pad if we want to record our own data. There's our components. The key here is ingots. Okay, so basically this can produce the different ingots that we will need to begin constructing things, and for that we're going to need some stone. Okay, and so that is your survival kit. Probably almost, I'd say it's the most important block on your survival pod here. Over here, this particular block here, we have our battery. Okay, so here, notice there are 4 lights on there, so basically that gives you a feel for how much charge it has in it. So right now we have probably about 75% charge in our battery, so this battery basically powers our kit. Okay, it's what's making the lights flash, it's what enables our assembler to assemble things, or not our assembler, our survival kit to assemble and process materials, and our O2H2 generator to generate the hydrogen and the oxygen. Okay, so that battery is going to die eventually. So that's kind of the impetus for us to get up and get a base going. Some other things on here: atmospheric thrusters. Okay, so that gives us actually gives us some potential for flight. So if you want, you can conceivably turn this survival pod into an airship flying around. On top of it, I'm going to hit my jetpack here. Key X gives me some elevation. I'm going to pop up over and land on the top of my pod. A couple things to highlight up here. Here I mentioned earlier we have an ore detector. So if I bring my welder out using the 1 key here, I can point it at my ore detector, see what's in it, what kind of components it utilizes. And here we have an antenna, okay, which can broadcast and give the position of our pod as well. So there's some couple other blocks present on our survival pod. Okay, so welder obviously welds things up. Our grinder, if we want to take something apart. Now, for the most part in Space Engineers, when you grind something away, you're going to get 100% of the materials out of it. So if I were to grind away this ore detector right now, I would get a total of 3 steel plates, a detector component, a computer, a motor, and a pair of construction components. Okay, so that's our grinder, and then the last tool is our drill, which allows us to mine things. And I'll talk about those here in a future video when we start looking at the process of getting up and running. Okay, so that basically is a tour, game setup, Planetfall, and a tour of our survival pod. So I hope this has been a good informative video for you. In the next one, basically we'll pick up where we left off, and we will begin the process of collecting resources and work on beginning our first basic base. Okay, so that is a wrap for this one. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you next time.